All right, pull up a chair, because I need to tell you about the weirdest neighborhood in America right now.
All right, so in a week from Tuesday, there'll be some cool news about things happening on the campus at Texas, and I can't talk about it right now, but it's part of the scaling effort, so.
Outside Austin, on one piece of land, there are 3 factories going up at the same time. One makes chips, one makes robots, one makes cars. And this isn't outside speculation. Tesla's own vice president of vehicle engineering, Lars Moravy, the guy who actually runs this stuff, went on record calling all of it part of what he flatly called the scaling effort. Not a leak, not a guess from a drone account. The man in charge said it himself.
Here's the thing, though. He didn't say why these 3 buildings need to sit next to each other.
I did that homework for you, and once you see the connection, you're never going to look at a car sticker price the same way again. I'm not here to sell you anything. I don't work for Tesla. I don't get a check from Elon, and half of what I'm about to tell you might not even land on schedule. But the logic underneath it? That part I can't unsee. Wait, why does a car company need its own chip factory?
We either build the terafab or we don't have the chips. And we need the chips, so we're gonna build the terafab.
A few miles from the main plant, crews are clearing land for something called terafab, a joint chip-building project between Tesla, SpaceX, and xAI, with Intel roped in to help on the manufacturing side. The goal is a full terawatt of AI compute a year at 2 nanometer, which, if that number means nothing to you, just know it's the same bleeding-edge chip tech the biggest names in the industry are white-knuckling over right now. And here's the punchline. It's the same chip family, internally called AI5, going into the cars, into the cybercab robo-taxi, and into a robot I'm about to introduce you to. One brain, stamped out at scale, dropped into everything. Small batch production is the target for later this year, real volume in 2027. Now, am I going to stand here and tell you this is a sure thing? Absolutely not. Some analysts think real output is more like 2028 to 2030, which is years behind the stage show promise.
And look, I've been watching this company long enough to know their timelines are more suggestion than commitment.
Cybertruck slipped. Full self-driving slipped. More than once. So filed 2027 under optimistic, not guaranteed. I'll always tell you that part, because that's the whole reason you keep coming back here instead of watching a press release read itself out loud. Okay, but why should someone who just wants a reliable car care about factory floor plans? Since 1913, cars have basically been built the same way Henry Ford figured out. The frame moves down a line and an army of workers and robots bolt things onto it, station by station in order. 100+ years of, well, that's just how you build a car.
Tesla looked at that and asked the annoying kid in the back of class question.
Why does the whole car need to be in one place for the whole process? Their answer, they call it the Unboxed method, builds the car in big chunks simultaneously. Front section here, rear section there, floor with the battery and seats built in over here, side panels over there, all assembled in parallel in their own little workstations and only married together at the very end.
Quick example I love.
In a normal factory, they paint the entire car body, including parts nobody will ever see once it's assembled. Under Unboxed, you only paint what actually needs paint. Small idea, real savings. And the totals aren't small either. Independent analysis puts the manufacturing footprint reduction at over 40% and total production cost savings somewhere between 30 and 50%, depending on the model. Now here's the part that makes me laugh a little. Ford is watching this happen in real time and sprinting to catch up. Ford's EV division, Model E, has lost over $16 billion in 4 years. $16 billion. Their own CFO said, on the record, they don't expect to break even until 2029. And their fix? Build a new low-cost platform, explicitly inspired by BYD's cost playbook.
So let's just say the quiet part loud together.
The manufacturing idea Tesla was already talking about back in 2023 is the exact idea Ford is now scrambling to copy in 2026 and 2027. I'm not hyping anybody here. That's literally what's in Ford's own earnings calls.
We expect losses of $4 billion to $4.5 billion for Ford Model E. This reflects about $1.6 billion of improvement in Gen 1 products, driven by lower U.S. volume and cost savings from restructuring the business.
Quick pit stop. If connections like this are the reason you keep coming back, hit subscribe. We're racing toward 33,333 subscribers, and I'd love for you to be the one who gets us there. Now, what happens when labor costs basically disappear too? A few hundred yards from that car line on the same campus, there's a second building going up. Steel's already in the air. This is for Optimus, Tesla's humanoid robot. And it's not a concept video anymore. The current version, Gen 3, has 37 joints and hands packing 50 individual actuators, a real jump in dexterity, walking over a meter per second and handling a 15-degree slope without falling on its face. Here's the two-step plan as we understand it. Tesla actually shut down Model S and Model X production at their Fremont factory to make room, and they're converting that whole building into the first Optimus line, targeting the second half of this year, starting small, purely internal, used inside Tesla's own factories to gather real-world data. The Texas building is the second-generation line, built from the ground up for humanoid robots at real scale, with a long-term target of,
And I want you to actually say this number out loud, 10 million units a year.
that's roughly 27,000 robots a day. For context, the entire global industrial robot market right now ships about 500,000 units a year, total. If Tesla gets even a fraction of the way to that number, this isn't a bigger robot industry. It's a different industry wearing the same name. The manufacturing cost target Musk has thrown out is around $20,000 a unit, with consumer pricing under $25,000 once it scales.
So here's my question for you, and I actually mean it. Sit with this one.
If a robot can build a car, or another robot, for a labor cost close to zero compared to a human paycheck, what exactly are you paying for when you hand over an extra $40,000 for a luxury badge? Nice stitching, sure. But a huge chunk of that price gap has always been labor and assembly complexity. Automate both down towards zero, and that gap turns into pure marketing.
We already watched this movie once, with phones.
Early 2000s, a good phone was a genuine status symbol with real manufacturing cost behind it. Then automation scaled up, and now a phone that outperforms a Wall Street trading terminal from 20 years ago costs you a couple $100. Cars are slower and more regulated, sure. You can't exactly FedEx a car. But tell me that's not the same road. All right, is any of this actually real yet? Or is it all just a really good stage show? On plain old vehicle sales, the near-term numbers are fine. Wall Street's consensus for the most recent quarter sits around 406,000 deliveries, roughly a 12% bump from the prior quarter, real recovery. But that's after 2 straight years of falling annual sales. Here's the number I'd actually watch instead, especially if you're the type who's been burned before by shiny new tech that lost half its value in 3 years. Resale data. Non-Tesla EVs have lost over 10% of their value in the past year. Tesla's used values? Basically flat over that same stretch. If you're worried about your money, that gap matters more than any stage announcement ever will.
And here's one piece of this that isn't a promise. It's already on the road.
While the chip factory is still dirt and the robot factory is still steel beams, the Cybercab, Tesla's purpose-built robo-taxi, also assembled at this same Texas site, is past the theory stage. It's already gotten its EPA certificate. It's already running engineering tests with real drivers-turned-supervisors on real Austin streets, and Tesla's driverless robo-taxi service is already operating without a safety driver in that city right now. The plan on the table is to expand that service into 6 more cities through the first half of this year: Dallas, Houston, Phoenix, Miami, Orlando, and Tampa, plus Las Vegas. Why do I bring this up here? Because it's my proof of work. Everything I just told you about chips and robots is still partly a bet on the future. The Cybercab is the one piece of this scaling effort you can actually watch happen city by city this year. If a company can't get a car onto real roads, I don't trust their robot factory promises either. Tesla's cleared that bar, at least in Austin. Whether it holds up at scale in 6 more cities is the next test, and I'll be watching it with you. One more thing on timing, because I'd be doing you a disservice not to mention it. This company has a habit. Every time it lines up a big operational announcement, and its full quarterly earnings report always lands a couple weeks after delivery numbers, the stock tends to swing hard for a few days, then settle back down once the excitement wears off.
So if you're holding shares or you're eyeing a purchase and waiting to see how the news lands, my honest advice is,
don't make the call in the 48 hours after a big reveal, when everybody's emotions are the loudest. Wait for the dust to settle, then look at the same 3 numbers I gave you today. Assembly cost, labor cost, compute cost. Those don't change because of one press conference. So what do I actually want you to take from this? Not go buy the stock, not go buy a robot. I'm not your financial guy, and some of this could slip by years. I'd bet on it, honestly. But here's what I keep asking myself, and I'd genuinely love to know what you think. Once labor and complexity stop being what makes a car expensive, what's actually left to justify a luxury price tag?
drop your take in the comments. I read all of them, and I'll be down there arguing with you.